NBA Insider Michael Scotto with us. It's a fun time. It's an unsettling time as well as we near the trade deadline, and a lot of Nets players find themselves in trade rumors, wondering if there's anything to them or maybe not so. But Michael Porter Jr.'s value, it feels like it continues to grow. What is the value for MPJ right now?
I mean, look, Michael Porter Jr. has had an all-star caliber season, Justin. He's thrived under Jordi Fernandez, who he worked with in Denver when the two were together with the Nuggets. Right now, a lot of teams across the league that are more contending teams have called just to get a sense of where he's at. But one thing I would tell you and the viewers as well, Justin, is that the Nets, looking ahead towards next season, they're going to want to take a step forward. Michael Porter Jr. could very well be a part of that with the way he's playing, and he's still young in his prime. So I would temper expectations on a trade, but at least at this point, but certainly he's gained more interest around the league, and I don't think anybody has helped his value more than him, given the all-star production and efficiency he has shown this season so far.
What about Cam Thomas? How is he viewed league-wide?
Well, when you look at Cam Thomas right now, coming off the bench for the Nets, has been a point-per-minute guy. It's a role that a lot of executives around the league have always felt that he would be best suited for and thrive in. We know that, as Jordi Fernandez says, Cam Thomas' superpower is scoring, and that's what he's doing for the Nets right now. Across the league, teams that need a little scoring off the bench could look towards him, but big picture right now, he's found a role and is thriving in it, in a situation that a lot of people feel around the league he could do well on anywhere.
When you take a look at some young big men around the league, Nic Claxton, pretty appetizing, not just because of the skill, but also contract's pretty friendly. Yeah. He's actually going to be making fewer the next couple of seasons than he is right now. How real are the trade rumors involving Nic Claxton?
Look, Nic Claxton's had a career season so far offensively. You touched on his descending contract, which does appeal to teams. A couple of teams that have had some interest. You look at the Indiana Pacers right now, who are actively looking on the market in general to find an upgrade after they lost Miles Turner. You've also got the Golden State Warriors, who are looking at various center options as well across the league. And there are other teams as well looking at Nick. But once again, this is a guy that has helped anchored the #1 defense in December for the Brooklyn Nets. He can switch on pick and rolls, pick and pops as well, and he's a good shot blocker as well. So I think when you look at Nic Claxton for the Nets, same thing. He's a guy that they do view as a part of the future, but he's certainly got an interest around the league.
All right. Externally, there's been one name that's been kind of linked to Brooklyn since the summer. That's Boston's Anfernee Simons. About a month to go to the trade deadline. Is there anything to this possibly happening? Is this still alive? What have you been hearing?
Well, look, Anfernee Simons is a guy that has come up with the Nets before, and you should touch on to the summer. This was obviously before the Nets got a bunch of guards in the draft with the Flatbush 5. Now, with that said, Boston is at a bit of a turning point for them. They can either become buyers and look at getting a center, such as Ivica Zubac, who I had touched on in my reporting on Hoops Hype, or you can move Anfernee Simons and try to duck below the luxury tax and save on the repeater tax going forward. Now, for Boston, ideally, if they're going to move Anfernee Simons, they don't want to take money back. So in a situation with Brooklyn, for example, a guy like Terrence Mann, for example, that wouldn't align. Now, Boston had interest in Day'Ron Sharpe over the summer. They wanted him to come in and compete for their starting center spot, but Brooklyn had more money to offer. Boston only had a minimum. But that's one guy that we know that Boston likes. Then after that, if you're going to make a trade work, you'd have to have one of two guys, Zaire Williams or Cam Thomas, because it would fit financially and would allow Boston to duck the tax. So time will tell. But again, the key piece here is Boston has not been willing to give up a first-round pick in addition to Simons to get off of his money. If you're Brooklyn and you're going to take on an exorbitant contract like that, you're going to want an asset like that back. So we'll see if something moves, but a lot of conversations like this are still to be had across the league, and we'll see where it shakes up over time. We've got a little bit less than a month.
Michael, great to see you. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Justin. Likewise, brother.